Hello, my friend. How are you? It's Tim Shurr here, President of Shurr Success Seminars and author of the book Get Out of Your Way. And today I want to share a strategy for how to help you close more sales. A lot of times when people are trying to grow their business, they just wing it. They don't actually have a system or a strategy for how to close sales. They just show up and they talk about their product or they talk about their service and they try to figure out if somebody's interested in it or not, and maybe they'll ask a couple questions to find out what their needs are, and then they start going right into pitching their product, and they talk all about the features and they tell people all about why they should love it and why they want to buy it, and then they stumble around how much it costs and they try to justify why they should spend the money on it, and then they keep their fingers crossed and hope that somebody says yes. And that is not a very effective approach to selling. So I want to share a strategy that I have used that I learned from successful sales pros who taught me as I was growing up on how to sell from when I first started selling vacuum cleaners door to door. Of course, they weren't vacuum cleaners, they were home cleaning systems, okay? And then I sold the first handy computers at Radio Shack before I even knew what a computer was. And I just knew that I got a bigger commission selling those computers than I did batteries. And so I started selling them, and then I just continued on and on. So I want to share a simple formula with your sales, and it'll help you to close more sales. So get out a piece of paper and write this down. Number one, when you're working with people, your sales process needs to start with what is their pain. What is the pain of, that you're trying to solve for people? What is it that they're struggling with? What is keeping people up at night? What is keeping people from achieving the goals that they want to achieve? Remember, people are always wanting to avoid pain or create more pleasure in their life. So what is causing them pain or keeping them from creating the pleasure that they desire? So let me just talk about sales, for example. Okay, so a lot of salespeople get frustrated because they have a hard time staying motivated. Why? Because they're afraid that they might get rejected, that people will say no. They tell themselves, I don't like to make cold calls. I don't want to bother people. I don't want people to get mad at me. I don't want to come across pushy. And so they have these fears that keep them from prospecting, from creating relationships with others out there. When I'm connecting with somebody, all I'm thinking in my mind is, I'm going to make a new friend, right? It doesn't really matter if it works out or not. I want it to work out, but I also realize that when I'm helping people, sometimes it's a numbers game. Sometimes people are ready to make that next step, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes I find that I'm talking to somebody and I realize they're not going to be a good client, so I don't want to work with them. Other times I find people and they're an awesome potential client, and so I really push hard to work with them because I know that together we're going to get them a pretty extraordinary result. And so I get real excited about it, and I really lean in and use my strategies to help them say yes, because I know it's going to be good for them. Right? So the first thing I do is I try to find their pain. So a lot of times I'll ask them, what's the biggest struggle that you're having? Or what's holding you back? Or what's keeping you from having what you want? Notice the language and the way that I'm phrasing those questions, right? It's all, what are you losing out on? What is it costing you? How is it keeping you from getting what you want? Notice the language that I'm using in the questions, because my questions imply that there is some pain and people are losing out. Now, another way that I do it is I get real what my clients are struggling with normally. And so I come in already knowing what their pain is. I come in already knowing what they're struggling with and what they're having a hard time with. So that when I start asking them questions, not only do I listen for the pain that they're having, but I'm also sharing different problems that they might be experiencing, so they feel like I get them. They'll feel like, wow, this person really knows me. So it's important to do your homework. So in the beginning, if you don't know what your customers' problems or pains are, you got to have conversations, lots of them, and ask them all the time. Hey, what's the single biggest challenge that you have? What's the problem that keeps you up at night? What's the one thing that, if you could get around it would make a huge difference for you? So you got to figure out what the pain is. Once you understand what the problem is and what it is that they're struggling with, then step 2 is to what we call salt the wound, right? Or what we call agitate it. Because sometimes you have to increase pain to get people to take action. Otherwise, they'll just hang out and not do anything, even when they know that it's bad for them, even when they know it's costing them money. Sometimes people have more pain associated to spending money or losing more money than they do to having, getting rid of this problem. Zig Ziglar tells a beautiful story about this. He says if you take a frog and you put that frog in a hot frying pan, so you got your frying pan, you put that frog in it, it will hit that heat and jump, right? It'll hit the heat and go, wow, I'm out of here. But if you take that same frog and you put him in a cold frying pan and just sit him in there and turn up the heat, that frog will slowly cook in its own juices. And that's what happens to us a lot of times. We get paralyzed by our fears, by the potential the fear of potential loss or further loss of not getting anywhere. We're already broke, and now we're afraid that we're going to be broke and get rejected, and so we just don't even want to try because we're so afraid of what could happen. And so we get stuck in what we call paralysis by analysis, where we're just sitting there stewing in our own juices because we're not getting anywhere, right? Because we're not making the money that we know we could be making. We're not making the sales we know we could be making. And it's keeping us stuck. And so we've got to sometimes create more pain to get people to act. It's like more painful if you don't take action now. You're going to lose out if you don't take action right now. What's it already costing you? Okay, so if you need to have a sales course because you need the tools and you need the strategies, but you don't want to spend the money on the sales course, how much money is that going to cost you every month by not having those skills? You think that, I don't want to spend a couple $100 or $500 or $1,000 or whatever it is on the sales course, but how much money are you losing out every month because you don't have the skills, right? I remember signing up for a coaching program one time because the guy looked at me and he said, how much are you losing every single month? And I thought about it and I thought, I don't know, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. He says, well, our program's only $2,500, right? You're going to lose $5,000 this month from doing nothing. Or you can invest $2,500 and multiply that by 10 or maybe by 100. And that's what got me. He helped me to understand that I had more pain just staying the same than taking action and improving my skills and moving forward, right? From getting the product and the service and moving forward. So you've got to intensify the pain and get people to act. So you ask them things like, if you don't solve this problem, what's going to happen to you? How's it going to affect your health or your confidence or your relationships or your bottom line revenue? How's it going to impact your sales? How's it going to impact your morale? How's it going to impact your influence as a leader? You start asking people to think about how it's going to suck more in the future if they don't take action now. Okay? So step one of this sales process for closing more sales deals is find the pain and also know what their pain is before you get with them. Number two, you crank up the pain. You salt the wound because people usually don't act unless they have to, unless there's so much discomfort that they've got to do it. Now, you will also find people that are ready for action, and those are your best customers because they're like, sign me up, I'm ready to go. Okay? But more people are afraid of spending money and losing out than they are of making more money. The third thing you do once you've agitated the pain, now you present a solution. You don't leave them hanging. The old deal was you're going to get this solution once you spend all the money and once you buy my book or my product or service, then I'll give you all the solutions that you're looking for. But in this new world that we live in, you want to give them some results right away. You want to give them some hope. You want to give them some tools. You want to give them some insights and some feedback that will help them to be more successful right now, so that you're giving them value before they actually give you money. Right? Remember, the more value you provide, the more valuable you become. The more you start to be seen as a trusted advisor instead of as a commodity, instead of someone who's just trying to sell them something. Now you're starting by serving. So you're giving them solutions first. You're giving them thoughts or feedback or ideas or advice that they hadn't even considered. Now they're like, wow, I hadn't thought about that. Wow, that's really clever. Oh, that's a really good idea. And when you give them some of your best ideas, they're going to want more. People get insecure and they're afraid. Salespeople get afraid that if I give you my good stuff, you're going to just take it and then you're not going to need me anymore. No, no, no. When you work with someone who really impresses you, who gives you a lot of great value, you want more from them. If you hold back and give them some of your lesser stuff, that's all they know you as. That's how they connect you, right? If I show up and I give you tremendous value, you're going to think of me as having tremendous value. If I hold back and only give you a little bit because I'm coming from fear and scarcity instead of abundance and value and service, if I only give you a little bit, my lukewarm tips, then guess what? You're going to equate me with lukewarm tips, and we don't want that, right? We want you associating me with value and something that's going to be really good for you, so you want more and more and more. And that's what you want to do as well. So you start serving them and giving them some really great solutions right off the bat before they've even given you money. If you give them a lot of value and they go somewhere else, they're not your customer anyway, because they're going to end up being a pain in the butt. You don't become successful just by who you choose to work with. You also become successful by who you choose not to work with. And remember, you get to choose who you're going to work with. Don't just go into it. Now, I used to go into the process thinking, please, please work with me, right? Now I'm thinking, do I want to work with you? And it's not an arrogance thing. It's an empowerment thing. I have great value and I want to share it with people who are ready for that. And I will help them get there. But if it's going to be a struggle, I don't want to show up every day feeling like it's a struggle. I want to show up every day feeling excited that I get to hang out with my friends and my new friends that I haven't met yet. And so you get to decide to stand in your power, and you choose who you're going to work with and who's going to be your best customers, and that'll take you a long way. So, all right, let's review again. So what's the first step in this process for closing more sales deals? Number 1 is you find the pain. Number 2, you salt the wound. Number 3, you provide a solution before they ever give you money. You start giving them value. Okay? Number 4, social proof. Of course you're going to say you're great, your product and service is great, but what are your friends saying about it? What are your customers saying about you? What are your clients saying about you? Now in the age of the internet, people go and they just read the reviews, right? They look at the reviews and they see how many stars you have and they see what people are saying about you, and then they make a decision about whether they want to buy your product or service based on the quality, not just lowest price, because nobody wants to buy something that's junk. Who cares if it's cheap if it's junk? Right? And you might decide that you take the positioning of you don't want to be the cheapest in town, you want to be the best, or you want to give the most value. So you have social proof, and social proof just means that you collect testimonials, endorsements. You ask other people to say, hey, you're awesome, or hey, your product was great, or hey, you promised something and you delivered on it, or you're fast and efficient and effective, and it was a positive experience working with you. I've taken pictures of clients, I've taken videos with clients, I've asked for endorsements in person, through email, online, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, right? So I've collected hundreds of testimonials over the last 10 years because now I can pull out a giant book of testimonials and say, you know, I want you to know that we're going to get results, but don't just take my word for it. Take the word of all these clients that I had, and what I'll do is I'll drop this testimonial book in their lap that might weigh 5 pounds, and they're like, oh my God, these are all testimonials. But every time they start reading the testimonial, they start thinking in their mind, wow, it worked for all these other people. Maybe it can work for me too. So maybe you don't have any testimonials. Well, that's fine. You start out by the next person that you're working with who's happy. Ask them if they write it down. Pull out your cell phone and say, would you mind just taking a 20-second video saying that you really enjoyed our experience together? Now, on another video, I'll talk to you about how to shoot those testimonial videos and how to get more endorsements, because there's a strategy for that too. But for now, we want to make sure that you're just starting to have the mindset of collecting testimonials. My coach told me one time, he says, don't work for the money, work for the testimonials, and you'll have plenty of money. And he was right. I've always worked for the testimonials, and the money followed. Okay, so that's step 4, social proof. And then finally, step 5, you got to ask for the sale. You got to ask for the sale. And when you ask for the sale, then it's just a natural step in the process. I've seen people talk about, oh, we're going to help you with this, and I'll give you an example, we're going to improve your sales process, and we're going to help you make more money, and you're going to add more value, and it's going to be exciting. And well, let me tell you about the price. Now, I know that it might seem like a lot, but it's really not, and you should, and they just kind of fall apart. And it's like, my God, how much is it? Okay? And what happens is they lose their confidence, they lose their mojo, and then their customers start to notice that, and they start to feel the same way. They're like, man, if you're not confident, I'm certainly not confident. And so instead, what you do is you make it just as smooth as everything else. So you say, hey, you're going to love the sales process, you're going to love the course that we take you through, you're going to love the brain training sessions, you're going to love the videos that we put together, you're going to love the little PDF that $2.99 or $3.99, and it's worth every penny because shoot, $300, $400 you'll make that in the first week. Right? And you'll have these strategies that's going to make you thousands of dollars. So this is a no-brainer. I'm selling you $10 bills for $1. How many you want? Right? As many as you can get. Right? And so you keep it nice and smooth. How do you get nice and smooth? You practice. You practice, practice, practice. Practice in a mirror. Practice driving down the road. Get used to the words coming out of your mouth so that you don't start stuttering in the process. And just remember, believe in your product, believe in your service, and it will be easier to get other people to believe in it as well. So, and then finally you want to have that call for action, and then step number 6 is there's a penalty for not taking action. Okay? Because again, people will do anything to avoid pain. And if you really believe that they need to buy your product or service, it's really going to help them, then there has to be some penalty. Okay, so a penalty for not taking action would be, you've heard them before, limited time offer, first come, first serve. These are little catchphrases. You'll see websites that have countdown timers now, so it gives you that illusion that you're running out of time and you got to do it now. They'll have count times. They'll say that if you're going to lose your spot, there's only limited quantities. Little phrases like that. So usually what I'll tell people is, if you buy it in full right now, then we're going to give you this percentage off. You can still get it at another time. You're just going to pay a little bit more for it, and it's still worth it. I don't like to play the games of messing with people because I don't want to trap people into a sale. In fact, I don't even want to sell them. I want to serve them, but I got to get them to that place, so I take them through a process. So I'm not really selling, I'm serving, but I'm taking them through a sales process that will get them to say yes so that they can get on with their life and they can have more value. And so we want to make sure that we're going through this process. And so I don't like to play games with them, but I do tell them, you buy it now, you're going to save some money. You buy it later, that's totally awesome. It's just going to cost you a little bit more. Or if you pay in full, that's great. You're going to save some money. If you want to make some payments, you can do that too. It's just going to cost you a little bit more. Either way is fine. Some people don't mind paying more so that they can have the payments. Some people feel like they have to think about it for a little bit. If they're going to spend the money, then they're going to spend the money. If it costs them an extra $10 or an extra $50 because they want to make payments, if they're really interested in the content or the service or the product, they're going to spend the money. I've done that. I bought very expensive programs and I wanted to do the payment plans, and I knew it was going to cost me a few extra $100, but I wanted the payment plan and it was worth it to me. So I didn't care about spending the extra money because I knew I was going to get the value from it. I knew that once I spent the money and invested in it, I was going to make sure that I got value from it. And so it made me more committed, and it'll make your customers more committed as well. In another video, we're going to talk about the limiting beliefs that keep us stuck. One of the limiting beliefs is that customers only care about the lowest price. That is baloney, but that will keep you stuck if you have that in your head. We'll shift that another time. For now, I want you to go through the steps with me one more time and then start working it out. Get out a piece of paper, write down each one of these steps, and then ask yourself, all right, what can I do for each part of this step to improve my sales process? So number 1, find their pain. What is your customer's pain? What is the thing that they struggle with the most? I want you to ask them those questions, and I also want you to do your homework so that you come prepared. Number 2, salt the wound. Okay, start to agitate the pain. Talk about the other potential problems that could go wrong. Tell them about the things that they already know. Tell them about things that they hadn't thought of. They're already losing sleep about one thing, but now you're telling them stuff they hadn't even considered before. Oh my gosh. And when you're giving them information that they had not considered, again, you are viewed as a trusted advisor. Wow, you really know your stuff. Number 3, what is the solution? Now you talk about your solution, how it's going to get rid of pain, how it's going to create more pleasure. And talk about the benefits they're going to get, not the features of the product or service. Don't sell the steak, sell the sizzle. Tell them how it's going to improve their life, how it's going to improve the quality of their life, what it's going to do for their business, how it's going to help them excel, right? So if I was selling you a sales course, it wouldn't be just on teaching you how to create charisma or how to read unconscious body language or how to use hypnotic phrases. What I would be talking about is what would you do with a couple extra $1,000 every month in your pocket? Right? How would your quality of life improve? What kind of pressure would that take off of your relationships? If you had more money to do things, if your spouse could go and have more fun, if you could do more things with the kids, what would that do for your confidence, knowing that you are a top sales professional? What would it do for your self-esteem, right? What would it do for your sales closure rate if you already felt confident that you were going to get the sale, right? So we're talking about those benefits that people are going to get. So write down the benefits that your customer is going to get and know what the benefits are that they want. And that happens from asking questions. Then, after that, okay, so we find the pain, we salt the wound, we provide the solution, now we show some social proof. So that's where you start thinking about, how can I get these testimonials? Maybe I got to call my mom or my dad or call a friend or talk to some people that I work with who have testimonials, or maybe the company that I work with, they have testimonials and I can borrow that credibility. And so you start looking at what's out there. Maybe the field you're in, there's celebrities who say, hey, you know, this stuff really works. So you can borrow celebrity influence, and or maybe there's an agency, or you saw something on Oprah, you know, and so you can use that kind of influence as social proof. Then you go for the close, you just ask them, this is what we're going to do next. You assume the sale, you just assume that they're going to do this. If they have any objections that come up, it's just having a conversation, right? I'll make another video on how to deal with objections and how to overcome them before they even come up. I got some great stories for that, but we'll do that on another video. So you just smoothly ask for the sale, assume the sale, expect that it's going to go well, and then there's a penalty for not taking action. So you tell them about the offer that they have in front of them and what's great about doing it now, and if you do it now, you're going to get these other offers, or you're going to get a better price, or you're going to get instant access, or whatever it might be. You're going to start feeling better right away, whatever it might be for them, and then and then make it happen, right? You want to pay in cash, credit cards, bag of nickels? How do you want to pay for this, right? And then you just take that next natural step, and then you schedule the next step, and you get them going. You help them feel excited about it. One extra little bonus step that I usually do is I get them to tell me why they're excited about this, because when they're telling me that they're excited about my product or service, then it reinforces in their own mind that this was a good decision. It's coming from them, and they feel good when they go home, so they don't have buyer's remorse, so that they don't go home and then their spouse says, you did what? And then they doubt themselves, and then they get mad, and then they get a call tomorrow saying, hey, I want to cancel this order. Okay, so I vaccinate against that, and I get them excited about this, so they know the value, they know why they're doing this, they know it's going to pay off in a big way, and then when they go home, they're selling everybody around them, or they're saying, well, I'm doing this because I know it's going to be good for me whether you get it or not. Okay, and so that helps you to make sure that you prevent buyer's remorse, and then you follow up with them. Just one more thing, and I'm going to wrap this video up. But remember, there's two parts to a sale. There's closing the sale and then following up after the sale. If you sell a lot of parts, if you're working for a company and you're selling things off the internet, if you are a commodity business, usually salespeople, they make the sale and they go on to the next one. They make the sale and they go on to the next one, and they're terrible at following up. And that is a mistake, because you want to build wealth through your relationships. You don't want to just make a sale. You want to make a relationship, and the way you do that is you check in afterwards and you say, how's it going? How you doing? How you like the product? You got any questions? Is there anything else that you might need? Or I just checking to make sure that you received it. They will appreciate that you followed up. They won't feel like a number. They'll feel like you're a person, and they'll feel like you cared about them. So make sure that you close the sale, and then that's only step one. Step two is that you go follow up with them and make sure that they're good. Make sure that they're happy. Answer any questions that they have. And that's how you turn a customer into a raving fan. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this. I've got an ebook that I've put together, and I'm going to put the link in the comments section because it's a wonderful little ebook, and I'm going to give it to you for a limited time. You can download it for free. Okay? Limited time though. First come, first serve. All right? And I just got to get the thing fixed with the internet or with the download page, and then you will be able to get this book. It's called Increase Sales Through Relationships in 5 Easy Steps. Increase Sales Through Relationships in 5 Easy Steps. And that's an ebook that I put together. It's got some really great information, and you can grab a copy of that for free for now. Okay, so as soon as I get that copy in the link, click on it, download it, study it, use it immediately, and it will start to show you how to improve your wealth and improve your sales by working the relationships that you have already. And when I say working it, what I mean is by making them better, making them stronger. And I give you 5 strategies for how you can make your relationships stronger, because when you build an army of raving fans around you, that's when really exciting things begin to happen. So watch for that link in the comments. If you like this video, can you hit like for me? Go on, click on it and hit like, right? Or love it. And then share it with your sales buddies, right? Put it out there and share it and spread it around with your sales teams. And let's keep having some fun making these videos. If you have questions, write them down. If there's a part of the sales process that you are like, hey, what's that mean? Then make a comment, and then I'll make another video and I'll answer that question, and we'll dive deeper into each one of the steps. Let me know what you want and I'll deliver. All right, so thanks so much, and here's to making your sales process and your sales closure rate a sure success. Talk to you soon.